So let's go with Robert first. He messaged me last night. He said, I have one major problem because I had two and I may have more now as I've been awake forever.
Yeah. So honestly, I mean, my biggest issue with this movie comes down to character motivations and specifically Wanda. Because we had, we've seen her grow from Age of Ultron into Civil War, into Infinity War and Endgame, and into WandaVision. And at the end of WandaVision, spoilers for that series, she makes a choice that she is going to give up her family because what she has done is hurting people, right? Like that she makes the clear choice, the hero choice in that moment I'm going to sacrifice the things I want because it's hurting people.
Right.
Now she does make a slight villain choice, which we talked about in our WandaVision review, which is trapping Agatha in her. So she does have a little bit of a dark turn, if you will. But it felt very out of character that immediately in this movie, she is a full-on villain willing to sacrifice anyone and anything to get to her kids, which I have lots of questions about how those kids exist in the other multiverses, where the heck Vision is in these other multiverses.
Right.
Like, I am very confused by what's happening with her and with her boys in these other multiverses, and I feel like that is just skipped over. And so her motivation, and ultimately this movie has 3 or 4 like just stop dead in the water exposition dumps. And those exposition dumps are just to explain the plot. They do not explain anything else. They explain the plot and the plot only. And that is incredibly frustrating to me, whether it's Wong still giving exposition to Wanda, even though he knows she's a villain, like, and he's still explaining things to her, like, whoa, here's something you could do. I was like, Wong, what are you doing? Why are you telling her this?
What side are you on again?
Or like Doctor Strange and Wanda having a conversation, or America telling Doctor Strange about something. Like, there was just a lot of exposition dumps. But yeah, Wanda's like character turn, I know you could explain it and say, oh, she was corrupted by the Darkhold, but that wasn't explicitly made clear to me, and I just felt like, man, this is not the same character we watched over all these movies and WandaVision. And I know in the comics she kind of plays both sides and can go crazy evil, and so I don't have an issue with that if you establish it in a better way. I felt like they took some shortcuts. And then the same thing goes for Doctor Strange. Honestly, we've seen him through his entire arc. In Doctor Strange, he comes to the realization that he has to sacrifice for the greater good, right? I'm going to sacrifice myself to save everyone else. That's the greater good, right? And he does that. In Infinity War, he is very clear that he is willing to sacrifice Tony and Peter because he is not going to give up the time stone. And he is, like, this is, and then, after looking at all the various futures, he realizes, actually, I have to sacrifice 5 years of time and give half the population PTSD from survivor's guilt, and then the other half disorientation from being gone from 5 years. Like, that is some major sacrifice, as well as sacrificing his own happiness and all that's like his chance at happiness, all those things. Like, he is willing to make that sacrifice. We see the other Doctor Strange in this movie willing to make the sacrifice of America Chavez. And then at the end of the movie, he's unwilling to make the sacrifice. He makes the right choice. It just felt very out of character, and we didn't establish why this one would make that choice. We didn't see his growth over the movie, and that's what I needed. I need some things in this movie that he's going to say, you know what, just like Captain America was, we don't trade lives. That was a Captain America line in Infinity War. Like, no, I'm not willing to trade this life for this greater good. And we don't see Doctor Strange making that choice. It just happens. And so I felt like the characters really, what they were doing didn't make a lot of sense.
Right.
And it just wasn't established well throughout the movie. And when you have characters acting in ways that don't make sense to me, that's gonna have some problems for me. So those are my major problems with the movie. We're gonna get into the multiversal stuff. We're gonna get into the cameos, the Illuminati, and all that stuff. And I have some issues with that too. Yeah. But ultimately, those are the primary reasons why I didn't really connect to this movie.
And I kind of agree with you. And I think what bothers me the most with Wanda, you're a grieving mother. I'm gonna run with what they told me. You're a grieving mother. You want to find your children. You want to be in a universe where they're alive. She makes a comment, I want to be able to travel universes. So if they get sick, I can find a cure in another universe to save these. Okay. And the line is made once. And it's really like the line where she's like, shh, don't, we don't talk about that. Where they're like, so what happens to the Wanda that's in that universe's kids?
Right. You're going to steal her kids from her.
Yeah. And if you don't murder her, let's face it, you have to murder her. You're going to repeat the cycle because she's going to do the same thing because you've already set the standard that you're this crazy and it's going to keep going and going and going. And literally all she's just kind of like.
Yeah. And I've seen some people, I've seen some people say like, well, couldn't she just go to a universe where the Wanda of that universe has died and the kids are still alive? And I'm like, I don't think so, because the kids wouldn't still be alive because they only exist in her mind. Like, exactly. She creates them out of thin air, which again is just like, why couldn't you just do it in your own universe then? Again, do it in your empty field where there's nobody around. Create your little hex and live with your mind created vision and kids. Like, you don't need a whole town. Trap
everybody. Yeah. You
don't need a town to do that. You can just create them. Like, Wanda's choices in this movie just are so bonkers.
Same. And that's where I had issues with that part. I was like, okay, this isn't right. And then, like you said, Doctor Strange, there's nothing that helped me connect to him in this sense, and they were trying to say, oh, he's different. And then, Christine at the end is like, oh, all of you Stevens are all the same. And he really was. The only difference is he found a different way to say, okay, this is how I can save America Chavez. And he did. Cool. That Steven found something different. But he still did every other thing that every other Strange would have done wrong to get there. And
I just have to say, just very briefly. Yeah. So we spend 60% of this movie trying to get to the book of Vishanti, I think is what it's called. And then we get there, and then Scarlet Witch catches up to them and prevents them from getting the book, and then we forget about it.
Not wrong.
So what was the point? Like, we never used that book ever.
Nope.
He ends up using the Darkhold instead, and I'm just like, what? Like, why do we not? He didn't even make a comment to Christine like, this is my last resort because we can't get back to the book of Vishanti, so I have to use the Darkhold. No, he didn't do any of that. Like, I was
and what bothered me was they made it seem like there was only one book of Vishanti. That's it. But there was a million of the other book in all the other universes. There was one of that book, the book of the dam or something. Or was it book of the
Darkhold? The Darkhold. Yeah. I think what they were actually saying, and again, this isn't explicitly made clear, but I think that of the universes that he traveled to, like, that was the only book of Vishanti that they knew where it was because they'd used it previously. And I don't know if that's true.
I could give you that, but remember, the first Strange we're introduced to knew where it was too.
I know.
Two Stranges, I don't know.
But they could have been. They could have been in that universe too. Like, that could have been the one that America Chavez led that Doctor Strange to, maybe. And they were getting to there, through, and maybe that's why the Illuminati was on such high alert for Doctor Strange and the incursions, and like, I don't know. I don't know. It's not explained. That's the problem.
And I agree with you on that one. And here's where I think major flaw for me in this whole thing, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
Doctor Strange in Infinity War is sitting there with the time stone and sees over 11 million different endings, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if he goes like, it's like, yeah, I don't remember what it is. I can't pull the number. Yeah.
It's in the double millions. It's a really high number.
It's ridiculous.
And he says there's only one way we can win. Only one, that we actually beat Thanos.
Right.
Yet in the universe with the Illuminati, there was another way to beat Thanos.
I guess I will chalk that up to you needed Professor X and
everybody else,
Mr. Fantastic, to be in your universe in order to beat Thanos that way. I don't know.
It bothered me because it's like that means there's other ways to beat him now, and you just didn't see it.
We saw that in What If, in the T'Challa timeline. That's a different way to beat Thanos. Now he would have had to go back 30 years and swap out Star-Lords or whatever. So there's
got to be back. I gotta get rid of this Star-Lord because he sucks.
But at the end of the day, we have seen other ways to defeat Thanos already, so it didn't bother me as much.
It still bothers me because it's like that line should have never been said. Now it should be like all I could tell was we might win in some and we win in this other one. Maybe.
They double down in this movie. I mean, he has that conversation with the other doctor at Christine's wedding, saying this was the only choice I could have made. This was it. Like you lost a bunch of stuff, and that doctor is even like, you're the best doctor and the best supervisor, best superhero.
Or maybe he was the best supervisor. Who knows?
Maybe, but you still couldn't get the girl, which was like you see Doctor Strange, like he made that choice. I'm sure there were universes where he did get Christine and whatever, but he couldn't make that choice. So again,
moving on, we got a lot more. So
okay, where do you want to hit next? The Illuminati?
The people I loved and hated all at once. I didn't think I was gonna hate it as much as I did, but the Illuminati. So we see Professor X. We see
Patrick Stewart.
Yep, Mordo.
Mordo.
Sorry, returns.
Is Chiwetel Ejiofor.
We get Captain Carter, which was cool to see.
Played by Haley Atwell. Mm-hmm.
We got
live action Captain Carter.
Yes. We got Captain Marvel.
Yes, which was actually, and I need to look up the actress because it was the same girl, that played. Right? It was the same actress that played Maria Rambeau in Captain Marvel. And Lashana Lynch is her name. Okay. And so she became the Captain Marvel of this universe. It was Maria Rambeau, Captain Marvel, rather than Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel.
Yep. And the two that I was happy to see, and I'm going to start with the non-funny one, the non-funny name, Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards is now made his official appearance in the MCU.
And it was John Krasinski who has publicly said he wanted to play this character, and the fandom has 100% been on board with that. We want John Krasinski as Reed Richards.
So
we got him.
And hopefully we'll keep getting him because he did look like a Reed to me, at least. And then we had your favorite name in the MCU pop up, and I'm going to try to say it. Blackagar Boltagon has now come out. See, so I can get the really strange, weird names, just not John Smith. Yeah. Like I can't pronounce those things.
And this was rumored a few months ago that not only would we get this character, but it would be played by Anson Mount, who was the actor of the TV show Inhumans. And yes, indeed, it was him.
Yes.
And I have to say, as much as I was excited that we got Black Bolt, he is a TV actor. And when he is like in that lineup with all these other actors, even though he's not saying anything, I'm like, bro, you're letting us down. Like you are not as good at acting just with your face, your half covered face, because he's wearing a mask.
Yeah.
He's still not as good. And so I was excited that we got Black Bolt. I was excited the way they used him. I thought was pretty cool, but I was very disappointed in that actor's performance. I really wish we would have gotten someone different.
I was disappointed with everybody but Professor X, honestly, and Mr. Fantastic. If I'm being 100% honest, like you said, it was like seeing a fly amongst like all the freaking lions and tigers and bears and everybody else, these predators, these awesome, amazing actors and actresses who everybody's loved already. We've seen them and we love them. And then you see him just kind of hide. And he's very, like, when he's on there too, and this maybe is just me, maybe like you said, because he's a TV actor, he was very stiff. Literally just like, is it the costume, dude? Like, do you not have a lot of movement? Because maybe you should have said something.
His costume looked TV budget worthy. Like,
it was okay.
I did not like it.
I only liked, I think I liked it because of the tuning fork, and that was it. Because we got the actual tuning fork in this one.
Yeah. So let's, okay.
And why I hate them.
Revealed the actors and actresses, and this is where, you know, I have been so excited for a live action Captain Carter, Haley Atwell. I love Haley Atwell.
Right.
I was not crazy about her performance in this movie. Like, I felt it was just a little bit flat, if you will. Like, again, I felt like all of these things were very fan servicey. And then, I mean, we're in spoilers. Scarlet Witch mops the floor with the Illuminati. Like, and I just, like, I know they're trying to show how formidable she is and how desperate she is and how far she's willing to go. But the fact that they just get taken out so quickly was super disappointing.
It really was. And this is where I say I hated him. We talked about it right afterwards. You know, Mr. Fan, they all go confront him. You know, you stay here with Strange, Mordo, and Professor X stays there because, well, he can't move. He's in a wheelchair.
Yeah, he stays there for half of, like, he stays there to, like, give some exposition to Doctor Strange, and then he checks out and shows up to the battle later.
That bothered me too, because you have supposed to be the world's most powerful psychic that probably could actually take her down in a mental fight with her. Like, if he just decided to go toe to toe, he could probably take her down mentally. We're gonna have him sit in the back. We're gonna bring our big atomic bomb with us though, which is Black Bolt. And like how you said, Mr. Fantastic's there, Black Bolt's there. We got Captain Carter, we got Captain Marvel, and Mr. Fantastic decides to go walk up and say, "You know what? One word out of his mouth and you're dead." Oh, okay. Let me just go ahead and snip.
Let me just change reality. Yeah, and take his mouth away. You know, like, I'm going Matrix on this. I mean, what mouth? He has no mouth.
You know, obviously she's in every universe because we've seen that, and she has her powers. And you're telling me you guys didn't remember that she has reality bending powers? And now here's where I had an issue. You know, I get where we had talked about with Black Bolt. So Black Bolt's mouth's gone, boom. But his tongue and his vocal cords are still there. He screams and blows his own head off, literally killing himself.
Yeah.
Here's where I have a problem. And again, this is comic book knowledge seeping in, and this is what I guess where
he should have blown up that whole universe.
First of all, everyone in that room should have been dead because he literally screamed.
Correct.
Everyone should be dead. Yep. I don't care how much. Oh, well, it's all contained in his head. That head pressure would not withstand that. Like, no.
We even see him use it earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
And like disintegrates a Doctor Strange in front of him with a whisper.
And it goes out everywhere, which is what sound does. It travels outward and it doesn't care what's in the way. It keeps going until the sound dissipates.
Yep.
My problem in the comic books, though, is he's trained himself for years to, like, take a punch and not scream. Because think about it. If you take a punch, I just destroyed the whole. So that's the whole thing. In the comics, he's trained to never, ever make a sound, no matter how much pain he's in, no matter how scared he is, nothing. But in this one, he's like, like, it freaks him out and he gets scared. In the comics, that would have never happened because he would have been like, wait, he's also smart. Like, oh shit, my vocal cords are still here. My tongue's still here. If I do make a sound still, it's going to reverberate back into myself, killing me and killing whoever's probably behind me. And that's what bothered me. They killed him off so quickly, but at the same time, like you said, he killed a Doctor Strange. He is really the most powerful one there that could have killed Wanda. You got to figure out how to almost write him off real quick, because otherwise she's going to have to do a quick fist fight and she's going to lose. Because he's also a trained martial artist. He was trained by, what's that? The martial artist for the Inhumans. I can't remember his name now. And that bothered me. And then we have Doctor Strange, who's like, let's face it, what's your power? I can be elastic. I'm going to
Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah. Sorry, Mr. Fantastic.
You
know, what am I going to do? I'm going to throw you an elastic punch. Oh, there goes my arm. Reed, the smartest man in the universe world even, should have brought a device to neutralize Wanda, because that's what he would have done, really.
Well, I really, again, like this, the Illuminati, at least in the comics, like they're a collection of the smartest, heroes that are, prepared for every eventuality, right? Yeah. And you look at this, they've got a Doctor Strange, which they've already dealt with one Doctor Strange in their universe who went rogue and crazy, and they had to deal with him. So they're justifiably skeptical of this Doctor Strange, right? But they talk to him, and he's like, "Listen, Wanda's coming, and she's going to destroy everything and everyone to get to this chick. Like, just whatever else you hear, that's what I'm telling you." And so when the attack starts happening and they realize that, oh, he's right, Wanda's coming. Yeah. And then they literally are just like, well, let's go confront her head on and reason with her. And you're like, no, like, this is a terrible choice. You made it terrible. So
you just saw her destroy a bunch of Ultron bots, by the way, like nothing. Right.
Like, like you need to not just like attack her just head on. You need to, use some deception, use some, like trickery, use some devices like, Reed Richards would. And so I just like, she like unravels him and blows his head up. And then, by the way, after using her reality powers to knock out Black Bolt and Mr. Fantastic, stops using her reality powers. Yeah. And decides to, defeat Captain Carter by, throwing her shield back at her and cutting her in half.
And I'm sorry, Captain Carter to fight her was the stupidest move Captain Carter could have ever made. Like, your fight, I guess that's the thing with Captain America.
They literally just wanted her to say, "I could do this all day."
Yeah, you could do this all day. Cool. Can two of you? Oh, I meant like if I split you in half, two of you could they do it? Oh no, they can't. You're dead.
Captain Marvel, I think, got stripped of her powers and then crushed, because otherwise there's no way she would have died in that moment.
Right? Like she should have lived.
So I think we saw like some of her armor like being taken off her. And so I think what we were saying is that Wanda basically stripped her of her power, which again, reality bending. So I guess that's how she was able to do it.
I can live with that.
And and then the Professor X like mindscape thing where
was cool.
He's trying to reach the Wanda of his universe who's been taken over by the Scarlet Witch. And she just
snaps his neck.
Oh my God, that was awesome.
That was my favorite death, honestly, out of everybody.
It was,
because I was like,
too. Yeah.
Oh, and now, like I said, I guess that's where it bothers me, because what they should have, the Illuminati would have been smart. They would have sent Xavier to try to trap her mind, and while she's distracted, even if it's just for a couple of seconds, Black Bolt can come right up to her head and whisper through her ear, blowing her brains right out of her body. Like, cool, mission solved.
Maybe if they're not, because they know that the body here is not their Wanda, and so maybe they're so you try and neutralize her first. You use your Mr. Fantastic to try and neutralize her. Well, like all those different things. Like you're trying to do. There's something that you should try and do, and then maybe she can overpower you, and she can like whatever. Like it just, I didn't like the way it was just so quick. No. And by the way, Mordo being defeated by a wall.
I laughed too hard. I was like, can you not? Our Mordo could have done that. He could have gotten out.
Like, he's got the boots of like whatever, the venting valor or whatever.
Yeah, like, that's why I was like, why is
like, can't you just jump?
Well, I guess you could say because the bracelet is on him, maybe.
But it's only half. Like, I don't know.
That's true, because I don't know. Well, because when he put the half on him, though, he couldn't use the sword anymore. It didn't vanish. So maybe you could say the boots don't work. But at the same time, you're still athletic. Like, you still have your normal athletic abilities. Like, you saw Strange do it. Can't you just be like, 1, 2? Oh, I could do that too. I trained you, so I know how to do this too.
I'm just going to yell at Doctor Strange.
My Mordo hates you now, or your Mordo hates you. Yeah. No. You're just a douche. But anyway, so moving on to the Illuminati.
I just felt like overall the Illuminati was very fan servicey and not executed well. It felt like a disservice to especially a character like Mr. Fantastic, as well as Black Bolt. As you said, I felt like they didn't, like, I thought the versions of Captain Carter and Captain Marvel were very consistent.
Yeah,
like that's what they should, that's the choices they should make. But I felt like Mr. Fantastic and Black Bolt did not make appropriate choices.
Again, like I said, Black Bolt is highly trained. Your voice is supposed to do that. So you should know better than to have a full-on panic attack. I mean, and come on, you've seen worse. You're an Inhuman. There's so many like Inhumans that have gone through so much, and you're supposed to be there when they transform because that's what his job is as king. Right, so it's you're telling me this is the worst you've ever seen and it freaks you out that much? No. What about the dog who can teleport, like Lockjaw? Like, that's not kind of weird to you that this dog can just be like, peace, and just like drop kibble on your head and kill you or something? Like, I don't know.
I'm with you. But so that was kind of a disappointing turn.
A disappointing fan service is what it was.
Yeah.
So we've talked about them. That's kind of my main thing for this film at this point. We got 2 post-credit scenes.
We did.
The fun one was Bruce Campbell. I love that one. I want to start with that real quick. He gets put under a spell where he's going to be hitting himself basically for a couple of weeks or longer.
Which begs the question of like, how, like, could he survive? Because you need to be able to drink and eat and sleep. And so I don't know. I have questions, but whatever. We return to that character for the second post-credit scene where the spell wears off and he just stares right at the camera and goes, "It's over."
Yes, that was so funny. I was like,
I appreciated that. That was pretty good.
Yes, but then taking a step back to the first post-credit scene, because you don't need to stay for that one. It's a fan service fun one. Yeah. We see a girl in purple pop up behind Steven after everything has happened, who's just walking, and she calls him, and it looks like she creates a portal to another area, I guess.
Yeah, to another dimension. It was to me, it looked exactly like the Dark Dimension from the first Doctor Strange movie, where he goes and confronts Dormammu.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it is, because the character was Clea, who in the comics at least is a sorceress from the Dark Dimension, who is actually, I think, like the niece of Dormammu. I don't think they're going to go that route in the MCU, because we've already seen the Dormammu of this universe, and he doesn't look like a guy with a family.
Oh, come on. He looks like he could have wife, kids, everything. I think he's got this.
But regardless, like we know that she is a powerful sorceress, and so the way that she opens portals is different than we is now like not like the sling ring or America Chavez punching through the multiverse. Like she's got like some energy sword things that look like
she like cuts through it instead,
which I initially, when I saw the character, I was like, is that Psylocke? Like, and then it was like, no, because I mean it was like purple and energy swords, and so that's where like I was like, oh, is that? And then it was like, no, and it's not. But immediately after it happened, I turned to you and I was like, is that Charlize Theron? And yes, it absolutely is. Charlize Theron has joined the MCU. And this is now the second movie in the last year or so that has introduced a huge new actor in a post-credit scene. We got Harry Styles in Eternals.
I forgot about him.
And so, and now we get Charlize Theron just showing up as Clea, a future partner and / love interest for Doctor Strange. So we'll see how that goes. And I feel like the other thing we can't move past is that there are several moments in this movie where, as they're discussing the Darkhold, they talk about how it leaves a toll, not just on the world it's used in, but also on its user. We do see Doctor Strange use the Darkhold, and he develops a third eye on his forehead, and we see it in a couple scenes at the end. So we shall see, does he have some dark magic that is bound to him now, and is that causing what they call incursions? They drop that word, which is a very Secret Wars word,
and also a very Kang word.
So shall we build to those things? We shall see.
I am curious on that. I mean, especially because he's not the Sorcerer Supreme. He doesn't need to do Supreme duties. Let Wong do all that. My problem with all of it, though, at the very end, and this is kind of what bothered me a little bit, and I know it's because we're not going to see him until Ant-Man, but I wanted something of Kang to come out, because again, he's already supposed to be foreshadowing. I mean, we saw him as what was his name in Loki?
He Who Remains.
He Who Remains. So we have a glimpse of him. So we know Kang is there. We know at the end of Loki, we see the big statue of Kang, that he's controlling the multiverse, or the
TVA.
time, the TVA. And I just was hoping to see something of him. Like, again, maybe even just like a purple pants, this something that shows me, like, is that's supposed to be Kang? Like, wait, like, leave me with a little bit of Kang, kind of like how we did with Thanos after Avengers. He was kind of sprinkled here and there until we got, Infinity War and everything. And I really want more of that. I also don't know how he's going to connect with Ant-Man. Like, Ant-Man and Kang are not two people I would see in the same room together that are going to be bitter Marvel rivals or something.
I don't know.
I wanted something more from that. Maybe again at this point, I was also like, there's so much fan service in here. Where is my Kang? Like, we got the Illuminati, we got this, we got that. Where's Kang? Like, I want Kang the Conqueror. I want to see him.
And I do want to just talk very briefly again about the different characters of the Illuminati. So I think we will get another version of Captain Carter at some point.
Oh yeah.
I think that that character will come back at some point. I think we obviously know we're getting another version of Reed Richards.
Better be the same actor.
Well, and here's the thing: is that we've established in several properties that it could be the same actor or it could be a different actor. We saw a bunch of different Lokis that were Tom Hiddleston, but we also saw a bunch that weren't Tom Hiddleston.
Right.
We saw several different Spider-Man that are not the same person.
Right.
We have also seen multiple Doctor Stranges, multiple Christine Palmers, multiple Mordos that are the same people. I think we're gonna get a Professor X at some point in the MCU, and it's not going to be Patrick Stewart.
No.
Right? So we're going to get a different version of that. So we could go both ways. So with that being said, let's talk about the various members of the Illuminati. Okay. And so I think we will get another Captain Carter, and I think it will be Haley Atwell.
Yes. Right? Because she's the original, right? The original Peggy Carter?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're right.
I think we will get another Professor X. I don't think it'll be Patrick Stewart. Right?
I think it's going to be the new guy, the younger one.
I think we're done. I don't know if it'll be the same actor, James McAvoy.
Yeah.
We might get a completely different, brand new Professor X.
Maybe.
But I don't think it'll be Patrick Stewart.
No, he's getting up there.
I am worried that we will never get another version of Black Bolt after this movie. What do you think?
Black Bolt, I don't think we will, because the problem with the Inhumans and X-Men is they're almost the exact same thing. They're very, very similar. The difference is how they get their powers, where one's through the mist, one is just when you usually hit puberty, your powers awaken. So I personally don't think we would get another Inhumans connection. I think they're going to double down on X-Men. There's plenty of people who want Wolverine to come back, not as Hugh Jackman, as a new character, new person to carry on the mantle. I think there's a lot out there that could be fun to see with the X-Men versus the Inhumans. Now, don't get me wrong, I love some of the Inhuman characters. I think what would happen is they'll be sprinkled in. It's just going to be like, are you a mutant? Not necessarily. I'm part of a Kree experiment that, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't think though, as much as I want Black Bolt, I mean, and maybe we will. Maybe that's why they killed this actor off, so that we can be like, oh yeah, this was your last chance to be in Black Bolt, and you're done.
And that is what I will say. If we get another Black Bolt, it will be a different actor. When we talk about Mordo, I think we're going to keep getting Mordo. It's still going to be Chiwetel Ejiofor, which brings us to Captain Marvel. Will we get another Captain Marvel? I think Lashana Lynch is probably done portraying a powered Captain Marvel. She might come back as Maria Rambeau in flashbacks or in alternate universes, but I don't necessarily. I don't necessarily see her as returning as a powered character. Although it could happen. But yeah, the big one obviously is John Krasinski as Reed Richards. We know we're getting the Fantastic Four again because we know we're getting a movie.
Yep.
So the question is, we didn't see any of the other members of the Fantastic
Johnny,
Four.
no Sue, no Ben.
Although we we got a mention that he has kids and is married in that universe.
Would have been Frank. So we got Sue Storm being the wife, and the only one I can think of is Franklin, but he has a daughter, but I can't remember the daughter's name. But Franklin Richards is the most powerful being in the entire universe. Oh, Valeria, that's her name, Valeria.
Which maybe Franklin Richards is gonna be really pissed.
See, that's what I want to see. I want to see him come back because he rivals Scarlet. Like Scarlet Witch is nothing to him. He could be like, okay.
And so so I think it will be John Krasinski, and I think we'll probably in about the next 2 to 3 weeks we'll get an announcement that he is going to be Mr. Fantastic moving forward. Once we kind of get past spoilers of the fact that he's in this movie, I think that announcement will come. But I don't know. I mean, this could be his only appearance.
No. I think what's going to happen is they're going to judge how the fans liked that character. And then they're going to probably go from there. Like, do we want to continue with this guy? Do we not want to? But like you said, the fans have been wanting him for years. And I think this is the step of like, hey guys, I'm coming. I am going to be Mr. Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I actually did not mind the guy from the original films. He was okay looking for the time. I can't remember his name.
Ian Griffith.
There you go. He was okay looking. Like, he looked like a Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But I could be okay with this guy being Mr. Fantastic too. Like, that's cool. Like, if I can see it. I would have gone for, I can go for either one. And I think he is going to come back. I think that is going to be our Mr. Fantastic. I don't see Marvel just, hey, here you go, just for fan service. No, I think Marvel's like, yeah, we were planning this. Here you go.
So I just realized as we were talking, that we actually didn't talk about the ending of this movie and how Wanda destroys the Darkhold in every universe.
Yeah.
Somehow. It's not explained how she can do that.
She went like this.
And then apparently sacrificed herself by bringing Mount Wanda'Kor down on top of her.
Is that what the real name was? I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it's Mount Wanda'Kor. Which sounded like Wanda'Kor, but it's Wanda'Kor. It's a U.
No one would have thought like maybe this is okay, whatever. Anyway, continue.
But I do have a question for you. Is our Wanda dead?
That's a good question.
She's a physical person, like, so it's not like she's invulnerable to getting hurt. But she could also shield herself with her magic.
You do see like the red mist or like the magic like puff out. So it could have been easily almost. I dipped at the very last second. I dipped before anything happened.
Right.
I kind of think though, because of how powerful they've made her, this is it. We're done. Because again, kind of like we've said before, we're using the Fox films for X-Men. Apocalypse uses this real badass, a thing that he can do, and then never does it again.
Yeah.
Why not? You can do it. And I think that's the problem, is that now Wanda is so powerful. I mean, literally, let's say, like you said, she took out the Illuminati like nothing. So that means she could take down all the Avengers like nothing, unless they planned and did it proper and murdered. Murdered her.
They need a Batman.
I don't know about Batman. But
he's got a plan. He's got a plan for everybody.
Yeah, whatever. He's just gonna say, "I don't believe in magic," and then he just walks up to her and smacks her.
Right. So yeah, I'm inclined to believe and agree with you that I think our version of Wanda is gone, because I think it was a bridge too far. I think they took her over the edge. And honestly, what this reminded me of, and I know you haven't finished it. And so spoiler alert for Game of Thrones. But this reminded me of the turn of Daenerys Targaryen, which it was like there were hints that there was darkness inside of this character for a long time. But then they made a snap almost, and it was like, oh, if we were building to 100, 100 is the villain turn. And we spent like all this time and all these movies, and we were building and we were at, we got to like 15 over the course of like 7 years. whether it's movies for Scarlet Witch or seasons for Game of Thrones, we went from 0 to 15. It's like we're still really far away from this villain turn. And then they went, and we got to 100. And it was like, wait, what? And so I just feel like they have pushed her way over the edge in terms of her villainy. And I know they tried to kind of walk that back. She makes the sacrifice at the end after seeing what she has done to this other Wanda and her boys, and like that kind of thing, like, and she decides to like sacrifice and all that stuff. But I just feel like she's beyond the pale. She's too far and overpowered, as you said. And so I think that means she is gone, which means perhaps that's where our Agatha Harkness series on Disney Plus is coming, because if her magic is gone, then maybe she's no longer trapped in her mindset, and now we're going to get that show.
So my question is, if her magic is gone, she does reality bending, right? Would that have brought Reed Richards back? Because really, she just kind of manipulated reality to change him. Everyone else would stay dead, because let's face it, Black Bolt blew his own brains out. The Captain Carter was cut in half. Statue fell on the other one. So
Professor X.
Yeah, Professor X neck snapped. You can't really, that wasn't reality bending. But do you think we would see something with that, Mr. Fantastic, or do you think he's dead?
I don't know. It's a question of whether or not we'll return to that particular universe moving forward. Like, will we return to see Aftermath with that, Dr. Christine Palmer and Mordo, and them being like, what the? Just
everybody
like,
was murdered.
We've got the Wanda of that universe who unknowingly and unwittingly became a just absolute monster. And so I mean, I don't know if we'll return to that universe. If we do, that's an interesting question of whether or not that would bring Mr. Fantastic back, because we did see that with Thanos and the Guardians when they were on Nowhere in Infinity War. He kind of used reality to mess with Drax and Mantis, and then the power, the reality lifted and all those things. So I mean, I don't know. We certainly could see, and then maybe the smartest man alive will be super pissed.
Right? I mean, because he's the only one I could see that could come back. Because even if you gave the powers back to, like, the only other possible one would have been Captain Marvel, but because the statue landed on her after the powers are gone, that's after the reality bending.
Right. Yeah, I know. I think she did.
I think everyone else would be dead. He's the only one that could come back, because everyone else was. If Black Bolt wouldn't have talked, he would have gotten his mouth back, and he'd be like, "Oh, I'm okay, guys. Like, hey, I'm still here." And
but we don't want to bring that actor back. So
no, we want to kill him, like flat out, just blow his brains out, kill him. So but we've been talking for a while on this film. Overall, guys,
we have.
Go listen to the first part. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed the film and didn't have as much gripe as we did.
But honestly, I mean, the movie overall is still it's still like, there's enjoyable parts to it. There's some fun to be had. There's a lot of again, good performances. I just like the narrative of it, and the character motivations really kind of let me down. And it just wasn't to the standard I'm used to from Marvel. That's what I'll say. Like, it's just kind of like, and especially coming off the heels of something like Spider-Man No Way Home, which I think was like, man, this is top tier Marvel. Like, this is so good. And it's fan service done the right way, bringing back beloved characters in a really interesting and new and fresh way, and having them contribute to the narrative. And then we got to this, and it just felt like, no, that didn't really happen with this
one. And then this happens. I mean, who knows? Maybe the bar was just so high with Spider-Man. I don't know. I don't know. But Doctor Strange, he was in the Multiverse of Madness. He is going to continue hanging out in various places, and ultimately, I think the next thing we get from the MCU will be the Miss Marvel TV show coming in about a month. So I'm excited for Thor
that.
Right behind it,
and then Thor: Love and Thunder right behind it. And that was, even before this movie came out, that was my number one most anticipated, and it still absolutely is. I am really looking forward to Thor: Love and Thunder. So.
And stay tuned to all of our stuff at Official GYGO on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok and Instagram to see what we think of everything. And hopefully you enjoy these films with us. And definitely go check out all of our other podcasts and everything else. And on that note, I'm Aaron. That's Robert. This is Get Your Geek On. Say geeky and well, get your geek on.
Bye.